Hi, and welcome to today's episode of Live Healthy Now. I really appreciate you joining us today for what I'm sure is going to be a great episode. This was a bit of a last-minute decision to record something on this topic, and it's something which came to me because of a few things that have happened over the past week or so, and it just really got me thinking that this is such an important topic to dive into and explore with you. So this topic today is something that I see very often with clients, with friends, in the social media and in my own story. It's the belief that to be a healthy person means having to do it all, that you can only be healthy if you tick all the boxes. And when you can't, because let's face it, I'm sure even if Beyonce with her army of staff like a chef, personal trainer, nanny, a cleaning army, a PA, that there's even things she would like to do to be healthier. And, health isn't linear. It isn't about a start point and an end point, and nor is it about doing a prescriptive list of things and only then will you feel great. And if you can't do them all, then why bother with anything? But this is what I've heard so often. Like, what's the point? Because I haven't got time to do it. So I might as well just crack on and live life as I am. Does that sound familiar? Because I do hear it so often. It's that all or nothing mentality. But people really truly believe the thing that you do only get benefits when you do it all, whatever the thing all is. So I want to share with you in this episode some tips to help you move away from this belief and approach to health. I want you to see why striving for perfection might be hindering your progress and holding back healthy living, which is much more achievable than what you think it is right now. So perfectly healthy is a myth. It's your life and your health, and you need to be informed about the things that impact and play a role in good, strong health, so you can decide which elements and habits to build for yourself into your life. And a big or even huge part to this balanced approach is that you get to choose, and you need to be empowered to know that it's not linear, so you can adapt and change depending on what you need for where you are in your life. Now, I did a great episode. It was one of the first ones, episode number 2, where I gave you an analogy of your wellness toolkit being like a box of chocolates. And it's something I speak about a lot, and people love it because they think chocolate, health, surely those two can't go together. But they do. They do, because it's a balanced approach. But the box of chocolates is a fab way to think about your wellness toolkit. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach. It's about you taking the tools from your toolkit, aka the chocolates from a lovely box of chocolate. Definitely needs to be hotel chocolate for me. I have very expensive premium chocolate taste. So, you take the things that are going to help you to have the control and the healthy habits that you want to build into your life and make a part of who you are. So we're going to get stuck into exploring and hopefully helping you to have your penny drop moment, which is what I'm all about at Life Now Coaching, giving you those penny drop moments to see the value and importance of health in your life. So I want you to have that penny drop moment, that realisation of why healthy living doesn't require perfectionism. So we've got 7 tips that I want to give you. And we'll start with the first one, which is the problem with perfectionism in health and fitness and diet and the whole shebang. So striving for perfection can create that cycle of self-criticism and negative self-talk. And we all fall guilty into that at times, some of us much more than others. And when we're very critical of ourselves because we're aiming only for perfection, it leads to feelings of failure and disappointment. And then you feel like you've fallen short of these high expectations, which from the off are usually impossible. You've set such high expectations for yourself, they're completely unrealistic and unachievable. And when you're coming from a place or staying in a place like this, it can cause stress and anxiety and overwhelm, and these things can lead to quite serious mental health problems, body dysmorphia, depression. Some anxiety disorders can build from general, day-to-day non-chronic anxiety. And these will, naturally hinder the progress you're trying to make towards your health and wellness goals. And I can speak from the heart here because I was like this too. I had a belief that, I had to weigh a certain number on the scales. And I have this number ingrained in my subconscious brain, 10 stone, 5 pound. Now, I'm 5'7". I'm not able to convert that into kilograms off the top of my head. Maybe I should have done before I hit record. But that number was plucked, I would say, out of thin air on the first visit to Weight Watchers, the weekly weighing club I used to go to many years ago. And I pinned my health being on hitting that number on the scales. And the things I did to try and hit that number, like controlling my diet and working out, weren't done to be healthy. They were done to hit that number because I thought that number meant I'd be a smaller size, smaller in physical size as well. And that was what was going to make me healthy. And I think really, in all honesty, back then, the ultimate goal was happiness, that when I was thinner, I would be happy. Now, I can't tell you the amount of times I felt inadequate because I wasn't like everyone else. I couldn't reach that number on the scale. It was there. It was like a very far away star that I was shooting for. And it was then making me feel that I was much less than perfect because I wasn't hitting that number. And even after having Lois, my daughter, and going back to Weight Watchers, after a huge life-changing event and something which had physically really, pushed my body to the limits in many ways because of the pregnancy and birth that I had, I still had that number. I went to the same number when I went back to Weight Watchers. I think 8 weeks after I had Lois, I was there in my maternity clothes, getting weighed again in the community centre every Thursday evening. So, focusing on progress over perfection is a much, much healthier and more realistic approach to take when it comes to your health and building healthy habits, because it allows for flexibility. It allows you to be compassionate towards yourself, to support yourself. And then you'll recognise that you're starting to make small steps forward towards the goals that you have, and you can celebrate every win, no matter how small they are. And if you've been following me for a while, this is a big thing that I talk about, and it's something which is incredibly overlooked when it comes to your health and your healthy habits. The support you give yourself is critical, and I wrote a blog about this before. We do have a podcast coming up with an amazing guest in a few weeks on self-compassion and the role that plays in a healthy, happy lifestyle. Because your mindset is so key to helping you, build motivation to want to take these steps forward and to help build a more positive relationship with your body and the health behaviours you want as part of your life. So, this is what the problem is with perfectionism. It's unattainable. It causes so many challenges and can really impact our mental health in the long term and permanently. Many of us really struggle at an older age, just coming over mid-40s towards the back end of the 40 age range. And, it's something that's still a part of what I struggle with, and I have had coaching on this actually in the last year or so to try to still work through it, because it's so damaging, when you've navigated for all of those years from that mindset of only perfection is enough. So the second tip is about the importance of setting realistic and achievable goals. So a really nice lead on from that first tip. And getting clarity over what you're working towards is really important. Setting goals that are SMART. Many of you have probably heard that acronym before when it comes to goals. setting specific goals, making sure that they're measurable, that they're achievable or attainable, either one, realistic and time bound. Because, you need to know that it's possible to achieve the things that you want to achieve. So this can be really powerful in helping you to pause and reflect on what you are doing. And I like to call this the review, the recognise and the reward process, so that you can really see you are making progress. So, you pause and you're reflecting, and in that you then review, well, where was I? Where have I got to now? How did I get there? Recognise, what does it feel like? What's the difference? What's the change? And then the reward, whatever that might look like. And no, this isn't like it was in the old days of going to the swimming club and being weighed and going straight to the pub or the takeaway for a 12-inch pizza afterwards. I'm talking about a reward that mentally reinforces what you are doing to help embed those things as habits in your life. But that celebration, that internal recognition of success is really important, and it's all part of that goal setting process. So I've worked with quite a few clients who started out with very unattainable goals, big goals. And what I see with this is they have that goal in front of them, right in sight, and it looks like a great big mountain, like Mount Everest. It's huge, okay? And all they're seeing is that this mountain is far too big and far too difficult to climb. Reaching the top is not going to happen. And even reaching halfway is probably not going to happen. It is big. And this puts them into freeze mode. They can't move away from where they are right now. They're stuck. Because that mountain, that big goal you've got, is just too big. And then what that does is reinforce the self-doubt and the story you've got in your head that you can't do it, that you can't change, that you can't build the healthy habits you want, that only the top of the mountain is good enough, only perfection is worth it. So what do? You stay stuck. And this is what I help clients to work through, because they've tried many times to climb that mountain, but it is too bloomin' big. And that's where I come into action with them, to start to create goals that are SMART goals, goals that we know are going to take work to reach the top of, in that mountain analogy, but that it's possible, that they're attainable, that we can measure them, we can track that progress, we can reward ourselves on the journey to the top. So, that belief and story that you've probably had in your head when it's come to change and trying to do something big in the past means, you don't start climbing the mountain because you only think the top of it is good enough, and that's what will lead to success and happiness. So you stay stagnant and you don't do anything and nothing changes. Now, the third tip is about that role of self-compassion I touched on just a few minutes before. So self-compassion and self-acceptance are really key in helping to build sustainable healthy habits. It really does help you to build a more positive and supportive relationship with yourself and your body, which for many of us is a huge part of the health and wellness we're trying to create for ourselves. So self-compassion is really about treating yourself with the kindness, understanding and support that you need when things are difficult or you're struggling. The things that you would definitely be given to others that you care about and love, but very much, miss out when it comes to yourself. And, rather than engaging in that self-criticism and negative talk that we touched on at the start, this is about practicing self-compassion, where you give yourself more understanding and empathy. So you empathise with yourself that it is difficult to change, that it's not going to happen overnight, rather than berate yourself because you haven't been able to make that switch and transition, at the stroke of midnight. So, this can be really helpful, especially when it does come to setbacks and obstacles when you are trying to, go on a new health journey. Where self-acceptance, on the other hand, is much more about your ability to embrace and appreciate yourself for who you are. Warts and all, strengths and weaknesses, whatever that might be, that you can accept who you are and that you have a lot of value and worth. And this is definitely something I see a lot of women, and even men, but in the work I do, it's generally women, who struggle with this when it comes to their bodies. Their self-acceptance on a scale of 1 to 10 is often below 3, and I would say more commonly a 1 or 2 if we're lucky. So many women are striving for this unattainable ideal, comparing themselves to someone else and feeling that only that body is what will deem a healthy life, and only that body is what's going to bring them that output of success and happiness. They're striving so hard and want so much. So, self-acceptance is something you really need to work on, and it really will then help you to move away from this perfectionist route, because you know that you are good enough, that you are making changes, that you are investing in yourself. And it really then does help you to feel more positive about yourself, which in turn is very important to drive motivation, and it helps to build confidence. And when you feel more confident, you get that ripple effect and it builds more motivation and momentum again. So you get into that great cycle of positivity and that really helps drive the long-term behaviour change you want. So self-compassion and self-acceptance, both key, both very important, especially when it comes to your physical appearance and acceptance of your body. So, really practicing skills that help you to be accepting of who you are and all the greatness that you have to offer, and, being compassionate when things maybe don't quite go to plan or don't quite meet the expectations you've set. Right, number 4, fourth tip. This is about measuring the progress beyond the number on the scale. So this is a big one. And again, this is something I see and hear so often. I touched on it in the first point, about my story with weight loss clubs and being obsessed literally with the number on the scale. You need to find a way to measure what is changing. So being able to track both the physical and emotional changes is really powerful, because when you can see that things are changing and you feel different, and when I say physical, that doesn't mean the way you look. Physically, how do you feel? Do you feel more energized? Do you feel stronger? Do you feel, like you're getting fitter and have more energy and vibrancy and so on? And emotional could be that you're not as moody, that you feel happy, you're more optimistic. You can really see potential in things and feel the joy in events and people that you share your everyday with. So when you can measure your progress beyond the scale, this really helps again to shift away from this belief and myth that perfection is all that will do. So, I've got friends, very sorry to call you out, ladies, but I'm going to, because you're obsessed still at the age we are with the number on the scales. So for lots of people I know, and it does come up so often in conversations with even people when I'm just out networking, but, I hear it with clients. The only measure that these women, usually we're talking about women here, the only measure they have in place for whether or not they are healthy is the number on the scale. And they're working so hard to hit that number, believing that that healthy weight range they've deemed for themselves will equal health and happiness and success. Now, I am a very big advocate of maintaining a balanced weight range. I know that your weight does impact health. Being overweight, being obese leads to many health risks, from lots of different illnesses and diseases like diabetes type 2, heart disease, other cardiovascular diseases, cancers. There's many things that it can lead to. So I'm not saying don't care about your weight. It's important to have good nutrition, so lots of variety of plant foods like your fruit, vegetables, nuts, beans, grains and things, to have enough protein and the right proteins, healthy fats, complex carbohydrates, lots of water, good hydration matters. All of those things should be really part of your toolkit. But how you do this and how big this nutrition pillar is in your, box of chocolates, so to speak, is your prerogative. That's up to you. If you've got a goal to lose weight, to be healthier, that's great. My weight is something I certainly do want to manage, because I know for my own health goals, it is very important to protecting my future health. And I know for my overall well-being now, the way I feel, weight's a big part of that. But I'm not measuring my health according to the number on the scales. That's not how I track or measure my health. In fact, I honestly don't know the last time that I was on the scales. I just don't use them. They're actually in a box in the garage. The last time I used them was with a client who came here to do some of our coaching with me. Instead, I measure my health success when it comes to the nutrition piece of my health toolkit through looking at the number of different plants I eat in a week, by varying the types of food that I have week to week. So I try and really mix it up and get a good range in my meals. I judge it by how I generally feel in myself. When I'm standing and moving, like, am I tired straight away? Do I have any aches or pains and bloatedness, things like that? So, there's also then how I sleep and my mood, because there's a huge link between our gut and our brain. So our mood is really affected. So I use those kind of indicators to help me know whether my health is in the right place through my nutrition. So, can you see here how the measure in my example is different versus simply focusing on the scales to determine whether or not you're healthy? So, focus on your weight, as in if you're overweight or if you need to manage your weight, yes, have a goal towards that, but don't deem the kind of finality of your health on that number. Make it about the way it makes you feel overall. Forget the number on the scales. Go with how you feel, the part it plays in your overall health and wellness toolbox. Now, similarly, I want to touch on this while we're on this point. Someone could be the weight they want to be, a weight that's deemed as healthy for their height and age, but they could be very unhealthy. I know people who are very naturally slim, thin, small, whichever, word we use to describe them, but they're not healthy either. Now, this perception of size isn't just about being overweight. It's also that when you're an average or normal or low weight, that's okay because you're healthy because of the way you physically look. But this isn't right either, because there's probably so much going on that, if someone isn't focusing on nutrition or other healthy habits, that means inside they're not healthy at all, and they probably don't feel it if they really thought about it from, an emotional and mental health point of view. And I've seen this with people who, their or weight loss and the number on the scales isn't the goal, but they don't feel good. And when we look at what they eat and, the fact that they've believed it's fine because of their size, they're astounded when they realise that actually, their size isn't an indicator of health. So whichever end of the scale literally you're on with weight, it's not an indicator of good health. So find other ways to measure your progress than just the scales. The fifth one is overcoming common barriers to success. So we all are going to face setbacks and maybe plateaus where things just aren't shifting the way that you want them to. Now, I'm going to challenge you here to think about this and think of some point in your life where you tried to change something. How many times have you been determined that you were going to do something different, that you were going to get fit and go to the gym 4 times a week? But then work showed up on week 2, so you only made it twice, and you beat yourself up for it because 4 times is what's needed to get fit. That's the goal. That's perfection, and only perfection will do. Or maybe you decided you were going to eat healthy, but then it was Sarah's birthday on Wednesday and she brought cakes to the office. Oh, so of course you had to have one or maybe two. And then you felt a bit sick and then you felt rubbish because you were supposed to be eating healthy. So it's Wednesday and it's all down the pan. Oh, what's the point? Or maybe you were walking for 30 minutes every morning before starting work. You work at home and it was like a little commute, to break away from home life to work life. But then on day 4, your child had been up sick all night, and so you just couldn't face the real world. God, you look dreadful. You've got massive bags under your eyes. The thought of putting real clothes on and going outside is just like, no way, no chance. So you don't bother. But this is life. Obstacles, barriers, setbacks, hurdles, they're all going to happen because we are all living real life. But these don't mean that your health journey is squashed and you have to give up. It doesn't mean throw the towel in. Because remember, this isn't about perfection. The fact that you've walked 4 out of 5 mornings is much better than not walking at all. You're going to reap so many benefits from that. The benefits of 2 gym sessions to build in fitness is amazing, and it is helping you get stronger. If you didn't bother at all, then you were never going to feel the way that you feel after doing those 2 gym sessions or 4 walks. You are adding value and making a difference. So do you see how easy it is to let little hurdles not be something that you swiftly navigate around and you let them throw you off course? I want you to navigate around them, not let them throw you off course. But we do this to ourselves repetitively because we think only perfect equals results. Now, the 6th tip is a big one for many people. It's the impact of social media and cultural expectations on our perceptions of what health and success is. Again, this has made so many of us have a built-in story in our head of what health looks like, and that health is about perfection. So we see so much on social media, don't we, and in the media in general and TV and so on, that we've been made to think that's real life. And therefore, if we can't live a life like that, we should just crack on as we are and shut up and put up, so to speak. What's the point? We're never going to attain to what we see on the telly or social media. And, platforms like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, we see all of these features and photos and reels and so on of what the standards of beauty and fitness and success look like. And they create those unrealistic expectations and put more pressure on us to conform to those kind of levels and standards. And I've struggled with this for years. Obsessing over celebrities who are deemed as perfect and wished I could be like them. You see them there eating the gorgeous, colourful salads for every single lunch. You think, well, why can't I eat like that? I can't make a salad like that in a healthy dressing. Or you see the little nice slim piece of white fish that they have for the evening meal and some lovely steamed veggies all nice and bright on their plate. And you think, God, I wish I could eat that, but I'd be starving like 10 minutes later. And then they're on a night out and they're drinking only water, and then in the gym and they've got the 6-pack, or they've got the great long hair, but yours never grows past, just underneath your shoulder because it always splits and breaks, which is my story. Are you with me on this? I think you will be. What we've been brought up seeing, especially for women, is what perfection looks like. Think about the Kardashians. They've got hundreds of millions of followers between them across their platforms, and globally girls just want to be like them. Girls of all ages, girls of my age and older even, they want to be like Kris Jenner. Or did she change her name? I don't know, after she divorced Bruce. We've built this story in our head that makes us believe only this will be enough, that this equals health, happiness and success, so that when we can't replicate that, then we just think, why bother? Because what's the point? What's the point in doing a bit of it when only that's enough? Because that's what normal is. That's what people want. That's beauty. That's health. That's greatness. But that's such a distorted reality for many people. It's what's being drip fed into them. And it frightens me, having a 15-year-old daughter, that she's potentially having this feed in front of her on a daily basis and building these beliefs for herself. I do speak to her, I monitor what she does, and she seems actually to have a very different point of view. She's very much about body positivity and lots of other things, which I won't embarrass her about by sharing on here. But yeah, lots of things that I think, there are some good things coming through to help balance out that distorted view of what reality and, perfection is. When I was young, we didn't have social media, so in some ways it was easier in that it wasn't in your face 24/7, but we did have magazines, and it was the same approach, thin equals healthy, attractive equals successful, slender and toned and muscular equals happy, seeing all of those 80s waif models and through into the 90s and just thinking, well, God, I look nothing like that, so I'm not normal, I'm not worthy, make myself feel even worse because I'm just going to beat myself up mentally with, such negative criticism and self-talk. And that really does lead to lower self-esteem and low confidence and anxiety, which is what I struggled with for many, many, many years. So, that value of who I had was massively influenced by media, even though in my generation we didn't have social media at a young age. And I like this saying that comparisonitis is the twin of perfectionism. They go hand in hand because many of us, our need to be perfect has come from comparing ourselves to others and to what society and culture is telling us normal and successful and healthy and happy are. So the final tip, number 7, is so important for anything, not just if you're struggling with perfectionism, but in general for change, especially when it comes to your health, is the support and accountability to help you achieve the progress you want so that you can maintain those healthy habits. And I always talk about when I do the habit training that your environment is one of the greatest tools you can put in place to help build successful, sustainable habits. Yeah, it's something that's so overlooked when it comes to creating a healthy lifestyle. And, if you're someone who doesn't find it comfortable to share or doesn't want to share, which is often stemming from that perfectionism tendency where you don't want to share because you're going to look like there's something wrong with you, and so you'll keep it hidden until you've done it, and then you'll let it out the bag because then you are perfect, so nobody's going to negatively judge you. This is so important for you because that hiding, of the change and the thing that you want to improve is potentially going to mean you don't make it happen, because we need support. We're humans. That's what we've evolved to thrive and work best as, part of a community. And, I've mentioned already the self-compassion, that's really important, supporting yourself, but the support of external people is so important. And many of us think, well, we're not going to have that. If I tell my partner, he's just going to say, well, God, how many diets have you tried before? You can't lose weight. Or you tell your best friend and she goes, well, stop drinking. You're never going to stop drinking alcohol. God, you drink like a fish. There's no way. What's the point? You'll be boring when you don't drink. We fear that response, don't we? So, we hold it all in. And because we don't have the support and we're striving for this perfection, we fail. Because it is hard. We do need support. At times we need to ask for help. We need encouragement. We need advice. So I want you to know that there is support out there. And usually those people that might respond negatively, when you respond back with, okay, I hear what you're saying, ha ha kind of thing, I know that's your opinion, but actually I'd really like you to just keep that to yourself. And can I ask that you support me? And if I fail, I fail, but I'd love you to try and be with me on this journey. They'll turn around and say, yeah, I will. I'm only pulling your leg, of course. I'm here for you. Just ring or message if you need anything. And, and they will be there for you. But you have to open yourself up to that support, to building a network, a community of people who are going to be there for you, to help you break apart that perfectionism you've got in your head that's held you back so much until now. And, I'm really passionate about this from my experience with clients, but also with friends and with myself, because I really know what it feels like when you do have this perfectionist tendency and you're embarrassed to share it, and you're trying to go it alone, and you've got all of that negative self-talk going on inside, and you get stuck, and so you tell yourself the story again that you aren't good enough, that you aren't worthy, and so on and so on. So, open up. Let people know what's happening. Let people know that you're not trying to be perfect. You're trying to be healthy, because when you get healthy, you're going to live a great life. You're going to know that you are investing in yourself, that you are investing in your future. And, that if you can climb the mountain slowly, then you're going to climb it. Because, we've got to think how many times we've tried to climb the mountain. And even if you've reached it, I'll guarantee you've fallen back down quickly, because it's hard. So build the right support network. Ask for encouragement. Now, I've given you a lot of information there, a lot of tips. I've definitely spoken for longer than I thought this was going to be. You can hear the passion that I've got for this, because I really want you to know from listening to this episode today that when you take care of yourself and build sustainable, and remember, we're doing this for life. It's not a quick fix. We're not about reaching that mountain and falling straight back to the bottom. We want to build sustainable, healthy habits. So know that when you do that, you're going to create a life where you feel great and you feel in control, and then amazing things will happen. So let's wrap up. I'm going to give you 3 takeaways to kind of sum up those 7 tips I've given you. The first one is to embrace imperfection. This is the key to building sustainable, healthy habits. It's not the other way around, okay? It's not about being perfect. It's embracing imperfection. It's time to break free from the perfectionism trap in pursuit of healthy living. Celebrate yourself and support yourself for investing in you and your future. And remember that self-compassion and acceptance are key in overall strong well-being. Number 2, take a balanced approach. Nobody can do it all. It's about knowing what is going to give you the most help now, what aligns to your values, what matters to you. And you focus on those things, and they will help you to build better health and feel good in your life. And then the final takeaway is that healthy habits for real life. Okay, you are real, I am real, we're human. Things shift and change constantly in our lives. We've got a lot to juggle. We're human, not superhuman. So build healthy Build healthy habits that work for you in your real life, and move away from the judgment and criticism that you're placing on yourself, and creating, this story that you aren't good enough because you can't do all the stuff that you think has to be done. This is about knowing your top of the mountain and what it's going to take to get there, because it's your life. It's not Beyonce's, it's not Gwyneth Paltrow's, it's not Jennifer Lopez. I'm probably very out of touch with the highest ranking celebrities right now, which actually, on a side note, that's because I embedded a new healthy habit in November-ish last year, which was to not look at one of the most popular global news apps every evening before bed and morning as soon as I woke up, because I knew that that didn't align with the way I wanted to feel and what I wanted my health to be like. So yeah, I don't look at any news outlets whatsoever, no notifications. And guess what? I'm healthier for it. I'm sleeping better. I realise I don't need my phone first thing as soon as I open my eyes. I do other things instead. That really set me up for a much healthier and happier day. So 3 takeaways were: embrace imperfection, take a balanced approach, and healthy habits for real life. So if you've enjoyed the episode, please just take a few moments, quickly rate the show. I'd love you to, give us a really good rating if you are enjoying the episodes and the content. And even better, subscribe so that you get notified when the new episode's ready. You do get them slightly earlier as well than if you aren't subscribed. And my mission is to help as many as people as possible build a healthy lifestyle, so they too feel in control of their life and know what health is really about and the value it adds to living that great life we're all here to try to make for ourselves. So to help me with that mission, If you've enjoyed the episode, share it please on social media, in your family or friends WhatsApp groups, or with your colleagues when you're sitting chatting over lunch. Let people know that they too can take something away from the podcast, and let's together build a collective of people owning their health and feeling healthy, happy and strong for a great life now. Thank you so much for listening. Take care.